On today's episode of All Things Scary, we go a step further into the world of the forbidden cryptids, things we are probably better off not seeing, and forbidden information that somehow got out. Stick through to learn about these things. Have you ever seen a skinwalker? Most likely not. It is widely believed that if you ever see a skinwalker, you are not getting out of it alive. It either sucks your soul out of your body or it takes on the form of your body. One very key thing you should never consider is saying the word skinwalker out loud, because the minute you do, you become a potential victim.
Creepy Cryptids from Around the World, Part 7. Skinwalkers. In many Native American legends, a skinwalker is a person with the supernatural ability to turn into any creature they desire. To be able to transform, a legend sometimes requires that the skinwalker wears a pelt of the animal it wants to turn into. Many Native Americans dislike the fact that skinwalkers appear in modern media because of the superstition that mentioning them might actually cause them to hunt the mentioning person down. This is the same reason why they don't like talking about them with non-natives. The Navajo have some of the most well-documented and arguably some of the most interesting lore surrounding skinwalkers. Those who practice witchcraft in Navajo culture are people who receive supernatural power by breaking a cultural taboo. Although both men and women can become these type of dark sorcerers, men are more commonly initiated. It is generally thought that only childless women can become witches. Not every witch is a skinwalker, but every skinwalker is a witch. In some stories, people who have attained the highest rank are called thingsyoudidntknow, which literally means pure evil. This can be achieved by killing a close blood relative, incest, necrophilia, or other culturally taboo and evil acts. Upon completing one or more of these acts is said to destroy their humanity and allow them to become fully initiated in the way of witchery. Although a skinwalker is more frequently seen as a coyote, wolf, fox, eagle, or crow, they have the power to assume the form of any animal they choose, a decision based on which abilities are needed. For example, a skinwalker may use a bird form for expedient travel in pursuit, escape, or otherwise. Some Navajo also believe that skinwalkers have the ability to steal the face of a person. Skinwalkers are commonly believed to be the color white while in their animal form. This is how many distinguish a skinwalker in animal form from a regular animal. The Navajo believe that if you ever lock eyes with a skinwalker, they can absorb themselves into your body. Alternatively, some Navajos believe that if you make eye contact with a skinwalker, your body will freeze up with fear, and the skinwalker will use that fear to gain your power and energy. Skinwalkers, like many other malevolent legends, gain power from a victim's fear. It is said that if you say the word skinwalker out loud, you will attract them, as if you've been marked. To say their name is to invite them to yourself. And on top of that, it is said that they are able to mimic the last few sounds of whatever they kill. If the last thing you said is, "Please help me," they can use that to attract your loved ones and kill them as well. So be careful out there. Then again, I'm the one saying the word over and over again, so maybe I should be careful. Skinwalkers are one of the dozens of creatures featured in my new board game, Encounters, the cryptid hunting game. To learn more about the game and pre-order your copy, check out the Kickstarter link in my bio.
Africa is a place known for witchcraft, black magic, and voodoo, so really it is no surprise that the tale of this cryptid should come from there. This is the infamous tale of Madame Koi Koi, and why no one ever stays out at night or wanders off in the dark in boarding schools across majorly West Africa.
Creepy Cryptids from Around the World, Part 5. Madame Koi Koi. The name Madame Koi Koi is one a lot of boarding school students never want to hear about. While the name struck fear in the hearts of Nigerian students, it turns out that Madam Koi Koi is not restricted to Nigerians alone. The legend of the dreaded Madam Koi Koi spread far to Ghana, Tanzania, and even South Africa. Madam Koi Koi is known as a ghost by African students. She is described as a lady that loved to wear red high heels when she was alive. It was the sound of her heels that gave her the name, Madam Koi Koi. In Nigeria, the story of Madam Koi Koi has two separate versions. According to the first version, Madam Koi Koi was a school teacher. She was beautiful and loved wearing red high heels. Her shoes always made the koi koi sound whenever she walked around the school. The myth also reveals that Madam Koi Koi was mean and wicked to the students. She even used to flog them for doing absolutely nothing. Madam Koi Koi was later sacked from the school because she slapped a girl and injured her ear. While going home, Madam Koi Koi encountered an accident and she died on the spot. She swore to carry out her revenge on the school for firing her and also on the students. After that, the students claimed they would hear the sound of her shoes in the middle of the night. The second version of her origin story depicts Madam Koi Koi as a stylish woman. She enjoyed looking beautiful while rocking her signature red high heels. She was also wicked to the students in the school she worked in. She would flog them for no reason and inflict pain in a lot of the kids. The students decided to take the law into their own hands when the school refused to do anything about her behavior. As Madam Koi Koi was going home for the night, these students jumped her and beat her to death. After killing her, they threw her over the school fence and ran away. All the students that killed Madam Koi Koi ended up disappearing one by one. It was only the student that hit her with a shoe that ended up surviving. He revealed to everybody how him and his friends killed Madam Koi Koi. He also explains to them that he has began hearing a sound every night. Can you guess what that sound is? After years of mental anguish and torment, he decided to go and try and hunt down the noise after hearing it one night. He was caught and beaten to death. After his death, the school was shut down, and the students all moved to different schools where they were able to spread the tale of the dreaded Madam Koi Koi. Madam Koi Koi is one of the dozens of creatures featured in my new board game, Encounters, the cryptid hunting game. To learn more about the game and pre-order your copy, check out the link in my bio.
There are things we are never meant to see in our lifetime, and though we might accept the knowledge of not knowing these things, once seen, reality dawns that we could never have thought them up in a million chances.
These are videos humans were never meant to see, part 25.
Okay, so majority of people on Earth do not like spiders, which makes perfect sense because they're extremely creepy.
But the video I'm about to show you shows a spider in somebody's house, laying hundreds of babies on the floor, and you can see them all crawl around. Imagine you're in your room at night and this happens to you.
Is Iraq hiding a portal? Well, this clip seems to answer this question in the affirmative. Wonder what else Iraq's been up to with this portal? Check out this video.
Iraq might be hiding a portal.
There's a theory that the United States stayed in Iraq for over a decade after it was liberated, not because of oil, but because of something else way more powerful. Well, in the 1920s, a British explorer discovered what was said to be the oldest known stargate in the world, located at what is known today as the Great Ziggurat. However, in the 1980s, Saddam Hussein fortified the ancient complex in an attempt to keep out explorers so they wouldn't find out what was hidden inside. Or at least that was the statement. Also, strange ancient technology was seen coming out of the Great Ziggurat, rumored to have come from the Stargate from ancient civilizations, now living on the hidden planet Nibiru, also known as Planet X. Many people recently have even been coming forward saying they were involved in classified programs in Iraq, where Stargate technology was actually used.
When this lady goes missing, all attempts to find evidence that suggested she was hidden were futile. This was because it looked as though she never left the hospital room where she was receiving treatment. Then this picture came out and the police found the eeriest evidence ever.
I know it's dark, I know it's bedtime, but does something feel kind of strange with this photo? Alright, so this picture was taken by Bonnie Mathis. She was a backpacker who was staying in the White Rose Hostel in Germany in 2014. She took this photo outside of her room to send to her boyfriend after she was repeatedly hearing noises from the hallways, having not even realized what it was she caught. Before we jump in, I have got to say thank you to you guys for listening to my podcast, Creep Time the Podcast. You made us the 18th top true crime podcast in the entire country. That's a big deal. Thank you for listening, and if you haven't already, please go click the link in my bio. Now, don't forget, Bonnie was backpacking alone through this, and she stopped contacting her family. Eventually, that brings German police back to the hostel where she was last seen. Reporting I saw, she was found to be partially eaten, but it didn't make sense because her bedroom door was still locked from the inside. Then they found this photo, finding this. Someone had been watching her from inside the walls. I had to enhance the picture, but no one knows who this was.
Whether time travel is real, or one can travel without the use of a time travel machine, or through some sort of portal, we can't really say. But rumor has it that this man time traveled once and he gave specific descriptions of buildings that used to exist without previously knowing.
This man traveled back in time. In 1996, an off-duty police officer named Frank was shopping with his wife on Bold Street in Liverpool. As she headed into Dylan's bookshop, Frank tried to cross the road to follow after her, but in his haste he was almost struck by a car. When he gathered his bearings and looked up, everything looked different. The bookshop Dylan's was gone, and in its place was a store called Cripps. As he went up and looked in the window, it was all women's clothing, but clothes that were very out of fashion. He looked around, but only to notice that everyone in and out of the shop dressed as if they were in the 40s or 50s. Suddenly, he noticed a young girl, dressed from the 90s, walking past him into the shop. He quickly chased after her, but when he got inside, it was no longer the clothing store, but Dylan's bookshop. Later that day, he recounted the event to his wife and she replied that Cripps was a department store in the 40s and 50s. So, did Frank step into a time portal? And is it possible that...
If a sinkhole suddenly appears out of nowhere at the back of your house, no doubt you'd be as worried as this man. Is it a portal to another dimension? Or is it a world where dead things can live again? Find out when you watch this clip.
Is this hole in Washington a portal to another dimension? In 1997, a man by the name of Mel Waters called into the Coast Radio show, claiming that there was a strange hole in his backyard that was 80,000 feet deep. He also said that strange things were happening, like a black beam that would shoot out of the hole into the sky during periods of the day, or that his neighbor dumped his dead dog into the hole, and the next day the dog came back alive. Mel's property was located right next to the Yakima Training Center military base, and after that one phone call went public, Mel claimed that the government tried to pay him off to never speak about it again. Later, when investigators tried to get to the bottom of this, they realized that the satellite images of Mel's property had been purposely blurred off. So, what is actually down the hole? And
which of the following information did you find the most surreal? Let us know in the comments section.